Did you know one car brand was caught lying to its own customers? Not once, but twice? Or that another brand saw its sales collapse by 80% over just 20 years? And the number one brand on this list? It's still selling nearly 1 million cars a year, while bleeding to death from the inside. These are the 6 car brands collapsing in 2026. And if you're about to buy one, you need to watch this right now. Number 6, Genesis. Let's kick things off with a brand that had every single ingredient for success, and still couldn't pull it off. Genesis, Hyundai's luxury division. The brand that walked into the luxury market and said, "We'll give you German-level quality at a fraction of the price." And honestly, the cars themselves aren't bad. Stunning styling, premium interiors, loaded with technology, all priced thousands below BMW, Mercedes, and Lexus. On paper, it sounds like a slam dunk. But here's the fundamental problem they never solved. Luxury buyers don't shop for value. They shop for status. Pull up to a restaurant in a Genesis, and someone will squint at the badge and whisper, "Isn't that just a Hyundai?" That one question is a brand killer, and Genesis has never been able to shake it. The sales numbers expose the gap. Genesis moved around 75,000 units in the US last year. Meanwhile, BMW sold 371,000. Lexus hit 346,000. Mercedes cleared 324,000. Genesis isn't competing with those brands. It's not even in the same weight class. Then came the reliability problems that made everything worse. In 2022, multiple Genesis models were recalled for fuel pump failures that caused vehicles to stall without warning. Then their EVs, the G80 and GV60, were recalled for sudden power loss issues. These aren't small inconveniences. These are the kinds of problems that destroy customer trust permanently. Tariffs piled on more pressure. Genesis relies heavily on imported parts, which force prices upward, the absolute last thing you want when your entire brand promise is built around affordability. Now look at where the lineup is heading. The electric G80 has already been axed. Reports are circulating that the G70 and electric GV70 are next on the chopping block. The brand isn't expanding, it's contracting. If you're considering a Genesis right now, think carefully. You could be buying into a brand that's quietly shrinking, and your resale value will be the first thing to take the hit. Number 5, Mitsubishi. This one genuinely hurts because Mitsubishi wasn't just a car brand, it was a legend. The Lancer Evolution, the Eclipse, the Montero. These were cultural icons, rally champions, the kind of cars that made teenagers put posters on their bedroom walls and dream about driving them one day. In 2002, Mitsubishi sold nearly 345,000 vehicles in the United States. By 2024, 86,000 units. That's not a decline, that's a collapse. And 2025 made it dramatically worse. New US tariffs froze deliveries mid-shipment. Thousands of vehicles sat stranded at ports going nowhere. Mitsubishi had no choice but to hike prices on a brand whose entire identity was built around being affordable. That's not just bad timing, that's a strategic catastrophe. Walk into a Mitsubishi dealership today and look at what's left. A thin row of crossovers and SUVs. No performance cars. No excitement. Nothing that makes your pulse quicken when you see the badge. The soul of the brand has been completely hollowed out. But the real damage started long before the tariffs ever hit. In 2000, Mitsubishi was caught deliberately covering up serious mechanical defects from regulators. Not an accident, not an oversight, but a calculated, systematic cover-up. Then in 2016, they did it again. This time falsifying fuel economy data on over 625,000 vehicles. Police raids followed. Executives resigned. Lawsuits piled up. The company's market value was slashed in half almost overnight. The scandal was so catastrophic, so complete, that Nissan had to step in and purchase a controlling stake just to prevent Mitsubishi from going under entirely. Today, owners are reporting CVT transmission failures, suspension problems, engine stalling, and electrical faults. The ownership experience simply doesn't justify the price, and the resale values reflect exactly that. The badge still carries nostalgia, but nostalgia doesn't fix a broken transmission, and it won't protect your investment either. Number 4, Chrysler. Now we are getting into territory that's going to sting for a lot of people watching this because Chrysler isn't just a car brand, it's American automotive history. They introduced the first production Hemi engine to the road. They invented the minivan, a segment that literally transformed how American families lived and traveled. For decades, Chrysler was synonymous with bold innovation, everyday comfort, and the kind of dependable vehicles that built this country from the ground up. In 2005, Chrysler sold over 640,000 vehicles in the United States. By 2024, under 125,000 units. That's an 80% collapse from its peak. And 2025 is tracking even lower. The Chrysler 300, one of the most iconic American sedans ever produced, was discontinued in 2023. A car with genuine character, genuine presence, just gone. The Voyager survives mostly as a fleet vehicle. And the Pacifica, the one true consumer model keeping this brand on life support, dropped another 11% in sales in 2024, getting outclassed on every front by the Honda Odyssey, Kia Carnival, and Toyota Sienna. The Airflow EV was supposed to change everything. Chrysler's electric future, the vehicle that would prove the brand still had something relevant to say in the modern era. Stellantis cancelled it mid-development. Too expensive, already outdated before it ever reached a showroom floor. And here's the quote that should alarm every single Chrysler owner. Carlos Tavares, the former CEO of Stellantis, publicly warned that several of the group's brands could disappear by 2026. Chrysler is almost certainly on that list. When a manufacturer starts disappearing, it's not the executives who feel it first, it's the owners. Resale values crater. Dealer networks shrink. Parts become harder to source. Service becomes harder to find. Buying a Chrysler right now isn't just a financial risk. It's potentially buying a vehicle that its own manufacturer walks away from, leaving you holding the bag. Number 3. Infiniti. Here's a brand that had everything it needed and slowly, quietly, gave every single bit of it away. Infiniti, Nissan's luxury division. The brand that once marketed itself as driver's luxury, and actually delivered on that promise. The G35, the FX series, the QX80, these were cars with genuine personality, real performance, a legitimate reason to exist in a crowded market. Infiniti wasn't just a cheaper path to luxury. It had its own attitude, its own loyal following, and engines that made you feel something every time you pressed the accelerator. In 2017, Infiniti sold 153,000 vehicles in the United States. By 2024, 58,000 units, a 10% drop from the year before alone. The brand is in a freefall it cannot seem to pull out of. What went wrong? Infiniti abandoned its identity. Instead of doubling down on what made it genuinely special, driver engagement, performance, bold and distinctive design, the brand chased the generic luxury crossover market. In doing so, it became completely forgettable, just another badge in a sea of identical SUVs. The dealership network started collapsing next. Standalone Infiniti showrooms were shut down and absorbed back into Nissan dealerships as part of a desperate consolidation effort. Then the models started disappearing. The QX50 and QX55 production ended in 2025. The Q50, their last remaining sedan, already gone. What's left? 2 SUVs, the QX60 and the QX80. That's the entire brand, 2 vehicles. CVT transmission problems haunted older models for years. Recalls stacked up, engine failures, power loss, airbag defects, faulty brake calipers. Buyer confidence eroded steadily. Resale values followed right behind it. Infiniti talks about a comeback, new models, a future EV lineup. But right now, owners are watching their vehicles lose value while the dealer network around them quietly disappears. Buying an Infiniti today isn't just buying a car, it's placing a bet on a brand that has been losing consistently for nearly a decade. That's a bet most people simply cannot afford to make. Number 2. Jaguar. From a brand that lost its identity gradually, to a brand that torched one it spent 90 years carefully building, in a single ad. Jaguar. Say that name to anyone who loves cars and watch their reaction. The leaping cat. British elegance at its absolute finest. The F-Type screaming down an open road. The XF commanding attention in every city it entered. Jaguar wasn't just transportation, it was a statement about who you were. In 2024, Jaguar pulled the plug on the XE, XF, F-Type, I-Pace, and E-Pace across major markets, including the entire United States. All of them gone simultaneously. The only model left standing is the F-Pace SUV, and even that's living on borrowed time. The strategy: go fully electric, reposition as ultra-premium luxury, reinvent the entire brand from scratch. The execution: one of the most catastrophic rebrands in automotive history. They scrapped the iconic Leaping Cat logo, a symbol recognized worldwide, and replaced it with something so generic, so completely devoid of character that the internet erupted in mockery overnight. The rebrand advertisement that followed showed no cars, no heritage, no legacy, just abstract visuals that connected with absolutely nobody. The global reaction was brutal and immediate. The CEO stepped down months later. Dealerships began closing their doors. And here is the devastating reality of where Jaguar stands right now. The brand has almost nothing to sell. Their new EVs won't arrive until 2026 at the earliest. Dealers are sitting in empty showrooms with nothing to offer customers who walk through the door. RepairPal ranks Jaguar 29th out of 32 brands for reliability. Resale values are in complete freefall. And the brand's survival at this point depends almost entirely on Land Rover carrying the entire financial weight of the company. Jaguar didn't collapse because the world passed it by. It collapsed because the people running it decided to burn down everything that made it great and replace it with nothing but a promise. If you're considering a Jaguar right now, new or used, the risk is enormous. A brand in full identity crisis cannot properly support its owners. And right now, Jaguar is in the deepest identity crisis of its entire existence. Number 1. Nissan. And here we are, the one that is genuinely going to shock you. Because this isn't some niche luxury label struggling for relevance. This isn't a fading relic from a forgotten era. This is a global automotive powerhouse with over 90 years of history, a brand that gave the world the GTR, the Frontier, the Armada, the Altima. Vehicles that defined entire generations and sold in the tens of millions across every continent. Number 1 on this list is Nissan. And before you dismiss that, stay with me, because the numbers behind this story are absolutely staggering. In 2024, Nissan sold over 865,000 vehicles in the United States alone. On the surface, that looks completely fine. That looks like a brand operating normally, doing business as usual. But underneath those sales figures, the company is in total financial freefall. Nissan reported a loss of $4.5 billion in a single year. Operating profits didn't just decline, they collapsed by 90% year over year. Globally, sales fell from 5.8 million units in 2017 down to just 3.3 million in 2024. That's nearly half of their entire global volume gone in 7 years. The response from leadership was drastic. Nissan laid off nearly 20,000 employees, shut down multiple manufacturing plants around the world, slashed production capacity across the board. These aren't the actions of a company managing a rough patch. These are the actions of a company fighting to survive. And the future looks even darker. Nissan cancelled the Ariya EV and pulled the plug on 2 additional EV projects specifically for the US market. In 2026, the year every serious automaker needs a credible electric strategy, Nissan effectively has none. The Maxima, their flagship sedan, was axed in 2023. The Altima is following the same downward trajectory. The brand that once stood for engineering excellence and innovation is now scrambling just to keep the lights on. And this crisis didn't appear overnight. In 2018, CEO Carlos Ghosn was arrested for financial crimes, hiding millions in personal compensation and using company assets for private gain. The scandal shattered trust with partners, investors, and the public simultaneously. Then came emissions and fuel economy scandals that further destroyed whatever credibility remained. In 2024, Nissan attempted a merger with Honda, a deal that could have been a genuine lifeline. Honda walked away when they demanded complete control of the combined entity. Since then, Nissan has been desperately searching for any alliance, any investor, any partner willing to step in and stabilize the company. Internal sources have reportedly indicated the company has just 12 to 14 months to secure a major strategic alliance before the situation becomes completely unrecoverable. Read that again. One of the most recognizable automotive brands on the entire planet, potentially 12 months from the edge of collapse. And here is exactly why this matters to you as a buyer. When a company this size begins fighting for survival, the people who feel the consequences first are never the shareholders or the executives, it's the owners. Warranty support weakens. Dealer networks contract. Parts availability drops. Resale values crater faster than you can react. Buying a Nissan right now isn't automatically a mistake. But buying one without fully understanding what is happening behind the scenes? That absolutely is 0.6 brands. 6 warnings. And every single one still sitting in dealerships right now. The car you buy today is an investment. Make sure the brand behind it will still be standing tomorrow. Which brand surprised you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.